So today I'm going to show you how to roll coils, and just like any other process, the better your part is, the better result the end product will be. So when we make a pinch pot, the better the ball is we start with, the better the pinch pot. Coil pots, the better the coils are, the nicer the coil pot will be. So really important you roll good coils. So here's how you make a good coil. You're going to take a little piece of clay. You can start with any amount, but you only need about the size of like one of those cutie oranges, a small little orange. And the first step is obviously to wedge your clay. I've already done that. And then I'm going to take this clay and I'm going to start to roll it in my hands and try to just kind of formulate a sort of hot dog shape. I can do that by rolling it. Notice I'm using my palms of my hands. I can also do it just by sort of pinching it. I just want to get it kind of round. So by squeezing, pinching, or rolling, I need to kind of get this into a long sausage or hot dog shape. Once I do that, I bring it down to the table. What's the best surface to roll coils on? Something like a tabletop, a counter is great. Plaster will work, but it will also dry your coils out as you roll. But you can do it on plaster if you need to. I do not suggest rolling coils on canvas or on a board because you'll find that they get too big and then you're rolling off the edges. So a nice big area that won't suck the moisture out of the clay. Okay, so I've got my hot dog sausage shape and I'm going to lay it down. Coil rolling is easiest standing up. So the first step after you've wedged your clay and you've gotten your sausage shape, stand up. It gives you a better range of motion with your arms, and this is really key. So when I roll coils, I want to try to use all of my hand. I'm not just going to roll with the fingertips. I'm not just going to roll with the palms. I'm rolling with all of my hand, and when I do that, you'll notice that my arms swing further. So I have a bigger range of motion when I do this with my whole hand than if I do this with my fingers, and it's a little jerky motion. So big motion, forward to back. I'm going to use my whole hand, fingertips to heel of the palm. And then this big trick I think with rolling coils is to not think about pushing the clay down to make your coil smaller, but instead you want to stretch your clay out. It's like those pretzel makers that you see at the mall, right? So I'm going to roll and stretch the clay out, which means my hands come apart. And you can tell already my sausage got longer. I'm going to start in the center, stretch the clay out. If I find that it's easier, I can use just one hand. So I can use one hand, but I want to make sure that I'm still going left or right. Because what does that mean? It means I'm stretching the clay longer. So you're never really pushing down so much as you're pushing out to the edges. A big problem with coil rolling that beginners have is that your coils can be very uneven. So if you notice, I'm not sitting in one spot and rolling. My hands are always moving left to right. And your goal is to get a nice even coil that's about the size of the end of our pin tools, okay? Or the size of like your pinky finger, unless you have really skinny fingers. That's a good size, and you can compare it for making a coil pot. If I was making something much smaller, I might want them smaller. If I was making something larger, I might choose to have it a little larger, but that's a good average size. So a good coil is all uniform. It's the size of the pin tool. And if I'm not getting uniform, I can always go back and say, well, it's a little fatter here. I'm going to roll some more here. And it's skinny there. I'm not going to touch that anymore. Okay? So that's kind of how we do a good coil. The other big problem that beginners have is your coil becomes not round. It's not a huge deal if your coil is going bum, 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 and you'll know what I'm talking about as soon as you start rolling them. But if your coils are not round, there's a couple things you can do to try to fix that. So let me start another one, pinching or rolling. By the way, the Native Americans, they just roll them in their hands like this. They don't even do it on the surface. And then I'm going to start with in the center, pulling my hands out. Notice it takes me 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 to get to the edge. If I'm doing one hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get to the edge, maybe 6. So I'm going to keep pulling and stretching. If yours is getting lumpy, don't be afraid to go back, kind of straighten it out, round it out, and then try a lighter touch. If that's not working for you, try being a little firmer with it. Try pushing through the lump. Everyone has different styles of doing it. Everyone has different ways of teaching this. You might see something different on a different, YouTube thing. You might find a different way to do it yourself. But the idea is to get a good coil, meaning it's uniform, the size of my pin tool, and hopefully all even, right? Okay, that's how you roll coils. And then if the better my coils are, the better the pot or the mug or whatever I'm making will be.